The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event, it's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Seafood on fire, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC Experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.
Woo! Good morning, brother. How are you?
Outstanding and getting better every single day.
I love it. I love it. We have quite a lineup. So I want to start bringing everybody from our sponsor to our keynote speaker to our other sponsor to another incredible speaker. And another incredible speaker, and another incredible speaker, and there's more coming.
Yes. What
Here we go.
House, oh my God.
Momentum is built in the room, and we all. How was the room, people?
Incredible.
Incredible, man.
Amazing.
Electrifying.
Yeah.
Look at that. You all give me one word. I love it.
Powerful.
Honest, vulnerable. The vulnerability is, I think, the thing that appealed to me the most. And just and the other thing is just how people pivoted with what they were saying, and then they went to something else based off of the vibe in the room, which made it just feel so much more authentic. Not to say that it, if you don't pivot, it's not authentic, but there was just something about the pivoting that was going on that felt so earnest, and it really was just electrifying. And I'm still high right now. It's like a day or so later. But that's how impactful it was.
I gotta say, when you consider the momentum of the room, it's based on what motivated you, but really it's what you heard from other people that maybe lifted you up. I'd like everybody to just give me a quick 30 seconds up to a minute of what you experienced in the room. Jacqueline, let's go with you.
In the room, it's the energy, it's the people that were there, and it's the inspiration that you got from other people, and hearing what other people had to say. You just took all these little golden nuggets that that hit you at the heart and elevated you at the same time. And it's one of those things that if you're not always putting yourself in a position to learn and grow and get knowledge and meet other people, you can become stagnant. And this room just connected you with people that you wanted to stay connected with, and also helped you elevate your knowledge so that when you go back to wherever you are, you have other golden nuggets that you can bring to other people. And that's how great things get spread around, and how everybody gets to elevate the rest of the world. So, it's not just a mastermind, it's a knowledge infusion.
I love that. Knowledge infusion. Danny Z.
You know what? I had such an incredible weekend. I often say that it's so it's so much about the people that you meet. So if I was recapping what the weekend for me, it was about connection. It was about getting in the room with like-minded people. It was about building future networks and future connections. I think that I left and had a lot of things to think about that perhaps I wouldn't have. So many people have another view or another idea of the same thing that we're all looking at. We're all trying to reinvent the wheel in our own fashion and trying to make a business out of it. And I think listening to everybody and how they're building through it and trying to grow from it really inspired me to make some notes and change a few things. I've set up a couple of virtual coffees. I got a couple more set up, and this is going to be an incredible week because I took the opportunity to show up, and I couldn't be more proud to be there. Awesome.
Love it. Love it. Curtis, what is your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed the first day, but when I got there on the second day, I really didn't know what to expect. Just walking in and, just see people all around. I'm like, man, am I in the right place? And, just after some time sitting down, I got there around the lunchtime and it was just off and running from there, just sharing, getting to know people. And then once we got back into the sessions, that's where everything really, really took off. And, just understanding what people's passions are, what their purposes are as they discover their purposes. Just a great platform for sharing ideas, thoughts, experiences, and, just helping each other, get to that next level where you're looking to be, how we can serve each other, and all that stuff. So I came in without any expectations and left with a glass full, of not only potential, collaborations, contacts, friendships, but just knowledge in general. So I found extreme value in it. I had a great time overall.
Love it. Love it. Devo, your thoughts, brother?
I like what Curtis just said. I always try to go into these events with zero expectations because I do a lot of these things throughout the year, these types of events. I belong to a bunch of different organizations and groups. And one of the things that I'm always impressed by, and I actually talked about this on social media yesterday, is that when you go to these types of events, you really have to check your ego at the door. And not everybody does that. And I was really blown away with the ego checking at this event. People were here. They were willing to learn. They were willing to listen. And I think that probably the biggest thing I walked away with was sort of respect for that concept, first and foremost, but also I made a lot of friends that I really feel like I'll stay in touch with for a while. So for me, everything is about relationships, building community around who you are and what you do, surrounding yourself with, we rise this rising tide, right? So yeah, I think that was my biggest takeaway, and just a lot of value in the room. Smart people, kind people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Paul, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, great. I walked away with several things. I think that the biggest, the biggest impression that this event made on me was that it was the embodiment of living and leading in purpose. And, what that means to me is that, everyone came off obviously authentic. There was a lot of honest sharing. There were vulnerable moments, but it was how the person's energy was showing up. I came in on Friday and I listened to the first two speakers, and then, I thought to myself, as Devo was talking about, ego checking and all these different things. Danny mentioned connection. We've talked about relationship building, but I started thinking about how can I best serve the room, and let me just sit back. Maybe I say what I was going to say the first day, and maybe I don't say it, but whatever the energy is as asking for in the room, that's how I plan to serve. And so, and that's kind of how I approached the experience. But the relationships were real. The connection. This wasn't networking, right? I think that's what a lot of people get confused sometimes. Is this is just a networking event? No, this is a relationship building event. And I walked away with relationships strengthened and new relationships forming.
Love that. Love that. My brother, Lancelot.
Well, I tell you, man. Few things. I've learned a lot about myself, and I hate to start off with myself, but just in fact, I won't start off with myself. I'll say that the building of friendships and getting to really know people besides seeing them on a screen and being able to touch them and feel their energy was something that I walked away that really energized me. And I was excited to be on here today, not realizing all these beautiful people would be on here with me. I should have expected that knowing seafood. But I went there expecting to be energized, but I got so much more. And I also learned a lot about myself. And that's the ability to pivot and adjust. Some of the things I went through just getting there and being late, which is unacceptable to me, and then accepting the situation and just adjusting and being able to adjust with people who are just embracing you at where you are. And then once they embraced you where you were, it allowed me to just completely change and speak for the first time as a speaker off the top of my head, which I've never done. And it felt so beautiful because it was like freeing. And then I was looking like I saw Paul, and then I would see his eyes, and he was looking at me, and then I'd look over and I'd see Danny Z's eye, and everybody was locked in with one. And it was this incredible fusion of love, intelligence, and connection. And those that missed it, you missed it. That was a genie in the bottle, and that's your fault because you had every opportunity to be there and you blew it. And I say that because it was that dynamic. It was that dynamic.
Lancelot, let's not make people feel bad because they missed it.
No, because we gave them every opportunity, and if you missed it, you blew it. Because this was powerful, man. I'm telling you.
But let's talk about how can they reclaim the fact that they blew it. That wasn't the last one, by the way.
September.
The next one is happening September 25th, 6th, and 7th in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, if you did miss this one for whatever reasons, maybe you had family issues, whatever it is, because I know somebody who was coming and unfortunately had a death in the family, but they wanted to be there so badly. So we don't know what we don't know. Some people missed it because they didn't realize the opportunity that would present to them, or they didn't know what the room would be like. We had people who came to the room who never, ever expected anything. They did not. There was people in our room that had never been to an event, and they were blown away. Now, there were people in the room who had been to many rooms, and they thought, oh, it's just going to be another room. Well, okay, I have nothing else to do this weekend. I might as well go and hang out with great people. But they were blown away because of the people. The room doesn't, listen, we could be in any room in the world. It's not the room, it's the people in the room that impact your decisions, your takeaways. When we reflect back into what happened, there were so many different beautiful moments that did impact every single one of us. I was blown away by every speaker, but just the speakers alone were first class, top class, world class. I can't even put a name on it, but it was the audience. It was their takeaways that I heard left and right. They were like, oh my goodness, this is the best event I've ever been to. And I'm not tooting our horn. I'm just saying, we sometimes don't realize what we're doing. My intention is always to create great rooms. When I sat down with Lancelot and I said, this is my vision, this is what I want to do, and he goes, let's do it because we're going to change the world. And then I asked myself, are we changing the world? And the answer is yes. Because if one person who leaves this room impacts someone else, helps them become a better person, gives something, and this room was packed with givers. the advice, the camaraderie, the exceptional, if you will, which is, you guys know that's my word, forever and ever. The exceptional advice that people were receiving. Nobody was charging anybody. It was, and Devo talked about egos, you guys know how I feel about egos. If you ever see my ego, punch it in the face, please, right? Punch it in the face, pow. And it was the meeting after the meeting after the meeting, and I think that's what builds the room up, even for the next day. Because all of a sudden, people are realizing this is not just a room. This is an event.
And you were so, the next day, you were so excited to see the people that you saw the day before. And you just saw them the day, oh, there she is. I was like, what the hell has happened? What happened to Renee? Okay, glad. Okay, good. But it was it was like you saw them, and it's like they were like family you hadn't seen for so long. You were just so excited to see them. And I want to give this analogy. This is like oh God, what was it? I don't want to say cult of superheroes. And I think we all in our own way are like superheroes, and we're getting together collectively to change the world. That's what this feels like. You know what I mean? You have these groups of cults and things, and there's this group of people of superheroes who have their own expertise that are coming together to fly around the world and change the world. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like.
I don't want to say cult.
No, that's why I didn't say cult. I said it's, yeah.
I'm going to say it's not a cult because there's too many powerhouses in the room. But I want to say Avengers, right? We're all there to save the world. Renee, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What did the room do to you? What did you feel like?
To tie into some of the things that I've heard so far is definitely the elevation. When you walk into the room, it's elevation and alignment. Every single person who walked in transformed the atmosphere, and you connected to the next person, and you felt the energy, and you wanted to do better. You wanted to be better. And so if you're not elevating that room, the people in there make you pull something deep in there. Is like, okay, what do I need to give? And what is it can I receive from this? And so every moment was collective alignment on whether the theme was being intentional, your mission, your legacy, vulnerability was a piece that really stuck, because there's a perception that vulnerability means weakness, but this room elevated the vulnerability as a theme of power. So if you're not being vulnerable, you're not releasing your power. So elevation and alignment was the powerful message in the room.
Yes,
absolutely. So the one of the things with StreamYard, we had technical difficulties because when I put everybody on, for some reason Renee didn't come on. But maybe it was a reason for that. Maybe because we needed to hear what she just said. One of the things that has happened is I've been getting text messages. Jose's having internet issues, otherwise he would be here. So he's having somebody come and take a look at his setup, because technicalities are going to sometimes get in the way of us showing up. Lancelot got caught up. There was so many different things. And I love what Jose says, that winners always find a way to win. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that Danny Z stepped out of his comfort zone to not only be there with us, but he stepped out of his comfort zone to bring his producer, Irish, which I love the man.
Yo, that's
and
man.
Then they went searching all over town for a hotel room. What time did you get your hotel room, Danny?
You know what? It's always an adventure. I don't mind telling you. It doesn't matter where we are. Many times when you go to an event like this, the plan that you had isn't always the plan that it's going to turn out to be. And I will say, sometimes that's the adventure that we need, and you can't let it. Lancelot was saying, like, he was upset that he was late. Things were just in the way. Well, you know what? We had an incredible event, and then went on an adventure looking for a hotel to stay because the one that we had was too far. And it's so funny. I didn't want to drive 40 minutes to the hotel room that I had, so I spent 2 hours looking for one 20 minutes away. That's, I think that about sums it up, right? But you know what? It didn't affect the relationships and the people. I had an incredible time at this event. The friendships that we've created and what we're pulling together is what it's always about. I'm going to go back real quickly and say, for the people who are watching this either live or in replay, it's not easy. It's not easy to change your life, what you're doing, where you're going, and show up to these events. And lots of times there's a cost involved. I mean, flying myself, my producer, hotels, meals, all of those things are an unexpected cost that we have to try to prepare for. And then when you get in the room, you're wondering if you're doing the right thing by buying the ticket and being there. By the first hour, I know that it's a good investment. By the second day, I wish that I would have dragged more people with me. And by the third day, I leave feeling inspired and changed. And that's why I do it. And I've said openly in the room, for those of you that weren't in the room, you know what? I'm there because I'm selfish. I'm selfish because I'm trying to absorb something from everybody in the room. I'm trying to learn from them. And I'm trying to create relationships that will move my business forward. Sitting here in my office, I have a ton of sticky notes of people that I'm going to follow up with and businesses that I'm going to create. So when you go to an event like this, as we're gearing up towards Atlanta, what you're doing is you're investing in yourself and in your business so that you have smart growth in the future. Because I can tell you, as an entertainer, I have to look at my life in 3-month intervals. If I don't have a show or something booked 3 months from now, in 3 months from now, I'm not making any money. I'm not moving forward, because that's how the entertainment industry works. Everything that I do today, I get paid back in 3 months. And that's what these events are about. They're about investing in yourself so that the future you has a stronger business, a stronger platform, and the connections that you need in order to have smart growth in what you're doing. So if you are sitting at home on your couch right now watching this and thinking to yourself, I wish I had more business, I wish I was doing something that would be stronger for my business today, you should have been with us yesterday.
Without a doubt.
Mic drop.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Can I add something to that? And with this, I mean, I sat back right after everything was done and got home and relaxed and everything. And I'm thinking, just a whole debrief of everything that went on. And even from the title, like NYC Experience, you go to New York City, right? And what do you see? It's people from all different walks of life, right? Mm-hmm. Passing each other, all kinds of things going on. And when you come to this, it aligns perfectly with the title. It's a human experience, right? You're in a room with so many different people from so many different walks, and just telling stories and connecting. And yes, the connections that you have as a byproduct, from the conference, and potentially business deals and opportunities, collaborations and stuff, but it's getting in the room and just connecting with people. I could have left out of there without, any type of opportunities, collaboration opportunities, and anything, been perfectly happy. It was just an opportunity. There you go. Look, right. Family and just connecting with people on a different level and meeting them, because I also think it's important to, know the people that you're potentially partnering with and what they're bringing to the table and how you align and sync before you even get to that next level. So having this opportunity to be in that room and connect first, I think that was the value that I gained, specifically out of all of this.
Yeah, love it.
I want to add to that real quick. We talk on these forums where we get on it and we're on this little screen and we have our 15 seconds or 30 seconds to say our piece, and you kind of come in and say your freshest line and try to say something inspiring to the other 8 people and whoever people are listening. When you're in the room, it really shows who you are as a person. And you watch the way the person characterizes themselves, the way they carry themselves, the way they interact with others. And that's why business decisions are made, is because you understand that the person you're dealing with is, you get to really see who they are, and they're not the polished on-screen version of who they're trying to present. And that's why the networking is so essential, is because you end up making a friendship and business relationship that grows because of it. If I'll throw one to Jose Escobar. Jose would say it's the meeting after the meeting after the meeting after the meeting that relationships are built. And I agree with him. Whether you're enjoying a beverage or a cup of coffee or just good conversation, it's an opportunity where we're not on a time limit, and we are talking about our families and our needs and the vulnerabilities and where we're trying to grow in life. And that's when we really step up as humans to one another, and we take a look at what we can do in order to help serve that person. And that's why, for me, it's so essential that I show up to these events, because me and Lancelot have had a relationship now for probably 6 months, and we're just faces on a screen. But seeing him in person and put my arms around him and give him a hug just reminds me that people are real, and that's when the conversations are real, and you can see the sincerity in a person's eyes. And that's so essential for the people that I want to team up with and grow in business, because my time, as each one of yours, is so incredibly valuable that I don't want to waste it with people who aren't going in the same direction of where my smart growth is going to be. And being in a room like that really narrows down the field of the people who are going to grow with you. And I can tell you, there wasn't anybody in that room that I wouldn't be proud to align myself with. So hats off, great event.
Yes.
You know, I also wanted to sort of add to that, is that the people in the room, those connections that we make, and then the connections, it's like at the meeting after the meeting after the meeting, but then what's your meeting once you go home? Like, what are you doing? And that's, you know, I was so happy to be on this call this morning, seeing everybody. I'm super psyched. But then the conversations that you're going to have after, you know, making sure that you continue those conversations so that you can continue to expand the connection, and the relationship, because, you know, that's where, you know, the trust is built and that deeper connection is made, because each one of us probably has somebody else that we could connect everybody to, but we don't want to just stop it at that weekend. We want to make sure that we're continuing those connections and the collaborations, you know, all the way through till September, when we get to meet again, and then beyond that.
Yeah. I would like to add that, to touch on something that Danny Z said. The plan isn't always the plan. And when you step into a room like this, the NYC Mastermind, your plan is going to shift. Your plan is going to shift in alignment with what needs to happen at that moment. And I will say, every single person who is on this call, who was watching, who was in the room, you were meant there for a purpose, not your plan, but the plan that was meant for you. And it had me thinking so much more about, how can I be better and how can I positively contribute to that? And this was networking on a way that I have never experienced. I used to hate networking, but this was one of those experiences that really opened my eyes to so many, because it was organic, and it was the piece that I love, because it was the human connection, which is so lost when you're in these moments where people size you up. Well, what do you do? What's your card? But this room, that is not an option. It is the deeper connection. So hats off. And if you weren't in the room, you need to be in the room the next time. Don't miss the opportunity.
I got to say, Renee, I hate networking. What's your elevator speech? Do you have a card? I'm like, you know what? We don't build networking communities. We are a power working. How's that? We're powerful people connecting with one another.
Relationship, collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Collective.
Somebody went to give me their card, and they're looking through their wallet. They're like, I don't have any more cards. I'm like, I'm so happy you don't. Let me share with you what I do. And I pulled out my phone. I said, let's take a selfie, right? We take the selfie. I said, give me your number. I'm going to text you. And here's the thing that I say to them. I said, once you get this, if you think it's of value, then you'll text me back your information. Because if they never text me back, it was a connection that they didn't want. So why force a connection? I want to have a power connection. So many times I've been in rooms, I've come home with a stack of cards and I'm like, who the heck are these people? So what I do is like, maybe I'll call them. I don't remember what they do. I don't even remember what they look like. Oh my goodness. This is, I'm talking about. My son who was there said to me when we're back in the room at one time, he goes, Dad, how long have you been doing these things? I said, way before you were born. And he's 25. He goes, really? I said, way before I even met your mom. Really? And I said, I've been doing these things since before the dinosaurs were extinct. So yeah, I was in caves with people. That was in the cave room, right? So, and it's about, we were writing on rocks back then. So, and we're throwing rocks at each other. And it's only when they landed that we can actually pick them up and go, oh, that's who hit me. And the power connections that we make here, and the reason you guys are in the room, even now, the virtual room, is because of these power connections. So every time that you go somewhere, if somebody gives you a card, how deep is that connection? Don't get me wrong, their intention is good. They want you to know who they are. But we've come full circle from what's your name, what do you do, to what's your name, how do you feel, what's important in your life. I think that's really what speaks about the rooms that we've curated, Lancelot and Jose and I. And the next one is September 25th. I did call out bullshit in the room, didn't I?
You did.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I want to add also the intention when you come into the room, and that's very important. And I remember with Renee, I hadn't got a chance in 2 days. Well, the day, because I was only there for 2 days. So I said, we got to connect. And then we went to the restaurant and sat next to one another and then just opened up this and just started talking. And it just was this beautiful collaboration of exchange of just who we are, not what we did, but what we do, but who we are as individuals. And by the time we left the restaurant, I felt completely connected with her. And it wasn't about networking. It was literally about just getting a chance to know who you are as a person. And I think that should be the intention whenever you come into a room.
Yes.
Good morning to everybody that's on, by the way, because people are coming on. Yeah, I just saw Danny, Angeline, and
look at what Angeline said. She doesn't carry business cards with her anymore.
I wanted to touch on something that you said, Lancelot. I agree. It's just getting to know someone on a deeper level. It gives you so much more connection to who they are as individuals. When I look at all of you on the screen, I can remember a place in my heart that touched me, and I will forever remember that nugget because of what you chose and you decided to share. And so I think now my intention is different, like when I walk in, because I want to be purposeful in the conversations. And so before I was like, well, let me be intentional. I'm intentional. And I would say, and connecting it and aligning with purposeful. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would call that also non-performative, which I thought was really beautiful to see in the room as well. Sifu, you talked about your son, and I think everybody on here is a parent, right? And but what a proud father moment, and I want to say that for a couple of reasons, right? And when I think about father son, I think about lineage, and there's a moment where, as a father, you have to look at your son and release from him the burden of carrying on your legacy, right? And because when we have sons, we think about, we want to pass our legacy on to our son. We want our son to follow in our footsteps and these things. And as a son, you're looking at your father, and you want to make him proud, but you want to stand on your own. And so there's a lot of, I'll say it, non-conscious pressure in that relationship to show each other that we're both men, and that what we have is to offer the world is significant. And so to watch the dynamic, right, to look at the pride, right, and maybe some of the, I wish he'd have stepped up and done this sooner type of experience, right? We're just keeping it real, right? But then you allowing the space, creating the space to allow him to step into his own, right? And I think that was apparent, and I know he felt that too, and he got to connect on levels, and he got to ask you questions, and you got to be the father, he got to be the son, but you also both got to be men and have that experience. And and as a father and having a son too, I could see that, and so I think that you had a beautiful moment that I would say, and I know you do. Just cherish that, because that doesn't happen often that way, and in an authentic way. So I just wanted to highlight that, because that was an important piece as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Paul. And I also want to highlight the fact that not only was he my son, but he's also, and you said he came into his own, he also is impacting people as a coach, as a brother, and so forth to other people. So when he turned around to me, he goes, I cannot believe I have not been listening to you, and every time you invite me to come to these events, and I never came. He goes, when's the next one? When is this? When is that? I'm there. He said Monday morning, because he's a chef, right? He's also a bodybuilder. He goes, I'm already putting requests not to work that weekend. When you and Tio are doing your event in May, I'm going to be there too. So he's like, I'm going to be at every single event. But also what he said was really, really important to me. He said, and he's talking about my other son, who also, he's a day trader, my other son. And my other son is doing so well, extremely well, that he said he needs to be in these rooms too. So I'm going to get on him right away to make sure that he comes in these rooms, because the impact that other kid of mine can have in the room is powerful. But when somebody recognizes that the room is big enough for everyone, so they can either grow or impact, that's going to be great. So, and I see that Curtis, you and I met for the first time, and I got to tell you, this, my friend, this thing right here, right? If you guys can see that, is beautiful, right? And when I get a gift like this, I mean, I can't.
Oh, it's real.
This is real, man. And then I get somebody to sign a book for me that is a powerful book. And yes, it's on my reading list, because I have tons of books that I read every day. Actually, today I had surgery. So it doesn't look like it, right? You guys couldn't tell I had surgery on my shoulder, but I did. I'm still go to therapy because it's still tight and so forth. But at therapy, when I go to therapy, when they're putting iso heat on my shoulder, I'm reading a book, and from what I've heard, I'm the only client they ever had in years who's ever sat there reading a book. And they're all come over to me and like, what book are you reading today? Because I'm reading so fast through books, and I don't just read through them. I tag them, I highlight them, I write notes on them. And so it's very interesting when every time they want to come over and what book is it today? Is that person going to be on your show? So it's very interesting that people want to know more, but they don't take action on getting to know.
Sifu, I want to add something what you were saying, and then I have to sneak away. When you talked about how passionate your son was about being there and how he wants to be at more, he's already booking the time off, and then you talk about your other son who should be the other son that should be in the room. That is my walkie's going off now because they're calling to shoot. That's what another thing that's important that each and every one of us who attended take from this is we're all pumped up and super excited about the speakers and the relationships that we made and the shows that we're going to be on. We're all super excited, but we need to use the momentum of that excitement to remind the people around us who need to be at the next one. It's a perfect opportunity for you to look at that best friend, that colleague, that son in Sifu's situation and say, you need to be in the next room with us. That's essential, because we know that we went to a life-changing event and we know that we're building something extraordinary here. And that energy is so easily passed on to that person who was on the wall, who was wondering if they should be there the next time. And it's an opportunity while it's fresh on your mind to share with what some of the other speakers might have talked about, or maybe reaching out to somebody who you're going to do a virtual coffee or a podcast with and suggest that maybe they talk to that person who's on the wall. But for everybody who is at this event, we have such a momentum of strength, passion, and growth that there's no reason why we don't bring two people to the next event because of that. And this week is essential. This is where we reach out to those people and say, this next one is long enough away that we can save for, we can book a room together, we can do something in order to make sure that we have those bums in the seats. And one of those people who that you're bringing is going to be the person that I connect with the most, or somebody else connects with the most. So you're really serving the entire group that was already at this event by bringing that extra person to the next one, because that's how we will continue to grow as a team. So I wanted to share that before I took off. Turns out I got to work. Yeah, but I couldn't be more proud to be in the room with all of you guys. I definitely made friendships that will last a lifetime and connections that will continue to grow. And that's certainly one of the things that I'm going to take away from not just this call, but from that event, is that I can say that my business, my platform, the way I speak, the way I entertain, the things that I do moving forward are stronger and will build faster and will grow smarter because of this event. And I will challenge myself to bring as many people as I can to the next one, because I would hope that the people who are closest in my circle and that mean the most to me are worthy of a seat in the next event, so that they can feel the same passion and growth that I felt because of it. So that's my goodbye. Everybody, you should be doing the same. And if we all work together, we'll just continue to change the world. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. God bless.
God bless
I'll
you.
be in touch,
Thank you,
Danny.
Dan.
I'll be in
Be safe,
touch.
Danny.
Good luck today, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Devo, you said something to me at the event, and you made so many connections. You said, I've made connections with so many people I didn't even know. And now not only have you new friendships, you have new collaborations, you have new opportunities that will come your way. Can you share about that a little bit? You're muted.
Hi, Stephanie.
Yeah, I mean, so I do these things on a regular basis, as I've referenced a couple of times, and the reason I do them primarily is I don't do any advertising for my work. I really honestly think, and I heard a lot of different comments today, I think timing is not a democratic principle. I think, and readiness can't be forced, right? So the right people were in the room. Whoever was there for a reason, right? And I really truly believe that rooms self-select, right? And the energy that we're all putting off collectively, whatever that means to the people that joined, they sort of joined for their own reasons. And as Buddha says, when the student is ready, the messenger arrives. So I always go to these events sort of open-minded, really with one central idea around connecting with one person. I don't think about the room as a collective. I think about how can I make one strong connection and then just sort of let everything unfold and ripple as it will, right? And so for me, I'm less focused on the event as I am focused on who is one person that I can connect with and build something from that point forward, right? And so this event, and what always happens is when you go into that sort of empty-minded, I guess is a good way to put it. You go into these events empty-minded, right? You have no expectations. You're just there to connect, learn, be curious. Like, I'm a really curious person, so I ask a lot of questions, and I look for like energetic matchups with people, right? And what was cool about this place is there was a lot of energetic matchups, right? And I connected with everybody on a different level. So I had with Paul, I was having really meaningful, and Paul's kind of stoic and he doesn't say a lot of things until he's ready, and then his mouth just opens up, and I was like, this dude probably has a lot of wisdom behind him. I want to sort of connect with him at some point. So Paul and I had some really deep conversations. And then Jacqueline, she commands the room, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of presence this woman has. I want to connect with her and see what I can learn from her. And then Lancelot showed up, and he's like blinged out. He's got all this like loud clothes on. I'm like, wow, that dude has a lot of character. There must be something really meaningful behind how he got to that point. I want to learn from him. And then Renee and I, we sat at dinner the first night, and Renee has this quiet confidence about her, and I was like, there's something about her that tells me that she's on a journey of something right now. And so Renee and I sat together and we learned what her journey is. And then Curtis, you came in late, and you were sort of quiet in the background, but you had this like grand charismatic smile. I'm like, this dude's really like somebody I would probably want to like hang out with and just like go do something with. So anyhow, so for me, the long and short of that, and of course, Sifu, I've known you for a bit now, and I know what you bring to the table. You're sort of like magic in a bottle. So for me, what I do is I go to these rooms and I look for all these different containers that people sit inside of, and I'm like, all right, what is the opportunity for me to learn something from them, grab something from them, and then take that, and is there anything that I can share of value to them? And so these events are, again, I never like to force people into situations. I never want to tell people they have to be somewhere. I think that if you sort of live your life and live your meaning and carry whatever that is with purpose around it, people are going to pick up on that, and they're going to ask you, like, what are you doing? Like, how did you get here? What are the things? And then it's our job to say, these are the journeys we've taken, and part of these journeys are going to events like this, where you can surround yourself with badass motherfuckers who are doing badass shit on the planet and learn from them. So that's really, sorry, excuse my language, but I don't really have a bad mouth.
You got excited.
Yeah, but so that's really, so now you just got it. We're PG-13 rated on YouTube. Sorry, Sifu. Yeah, really. So the long and short of it is go to these events with an open mind, and the right people will collect. That's just really how I feel. Like, no matter where I go in my life, everywhere I've been, the right people have stepped into my space, whether they were teachers, whether they were peoples. I had a dude, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but I met with a kid last night. His dad called me. He's going through this massive divorce, and it's like, I was wondering if you would talk to my son tonight. He's in Charlotte. Would you be willing to go up to his university and just kind of have a talk to him? And his wife left him after 33 years of marriage, and he's like really struggling with how does he fit within this like paradigm. Anyway, it was just crazy. Like, the right people just step into your circle at the right time. So I happened to be in Charlotte last night, and I happened to have a conversation with this dude, and it was like life-changing for me, as I hope it was for him, just being able to sort of sit there with him. And as you stop and look around the room over the last 3 days, you could sort of see all these little containers that we're building in a one-on-one capacity, and then one-on-two capacity, and there were 3 people, and then we would go out. Anyway, it's just an amazing, energetic room. And I think if you're not making the time to get into rooms like this, and you're an entrepreneur or you're a builder, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And I think the biggest takeaway is, I mean, look at this. We're in a room of 8 people just kind of carrying the momentum forward. So I guess that's my long takeaway.
Devo, I couldn't wait for you to speak. I knew that there was going to be some great nuggets. I watched you at the conference, and you were always just quiet, the silent assassin. He's taking it in. And when his mouth opens, these amazing gems that are not generic, they're so deeply thoughtful and connect to everything. And I just love that. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Curtis. I can tell you want to say something, and I love your background, man. All the music, everything.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, he's a power DJ. Not only a power DJ, he's a power speaker, and he really brought some energy to the room. And I love your speech on how you interpret everything that you do, and it was really it brought forth some ideas and some thoughts. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm writing notes while you're speaking. Because when you put it all together, it made so much sense. And I know that you connected deeply with T.O. Clay, and here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
He was on the call with us this morning. So something always happens, right?
I know.
So
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. So ironically enough, that was my first time giving that talk. I had, thought about it. I was like, man, okay, I got the invite. Well, what do I want to talk about? And, I was sharing, with a couple of our brothers and sisters there. And I was like, I didn't figure this out until actually a gig that I was actually on. And I was sitting behind the booth and just observing, reading the room and stuff. And I'm looking, I'm like, man, this would be a pretty cool talk to kind of put together on leadership. And, so I just put it in my phone in between, like in the middle of my set. I was like, hey, go back and check this out. Put it in my phone, went back to rocking. And got home. And when I was doing my debrief with my glass of wine and just, I pulled up, I was like, let me start fleshing this out more. But, it's just what I appreciate is the opportunity, because there's not a lot of platforms and forums where I can even deliver this type of talk. Right. So that's what makes the NYC experience so different and so cool, because you can bring anything to it. Right. And there was no rhyme or reason behind, what people wanted to speak about. It was just an open forum to just bring your creativity, and bring your thoughts and how you're putting this together and just share. So, just the fact that, there's a place for thoughts and intentions like this, and just to think outside the box. I mean, I've already told a homeboy of mine, I was like, man, look, I was like, you got to come and check this out. He's a speaker, he's a retired military officer, pilot, and he's getting into, his leadership journey and building his own thing. And I said, man, you got to come and check this out with me next time. So, speaking with Paul, speaking with AJ, I was on calls yesterday, with T.O., what was supposed to be a 30-minute call. We were rocking for about an hour and a half, just talking about anything and everything, and potential and all these things. And then I was speaking to Jimmy after that, and Paul's connecting everybody. So I'm excited. It's sky's the limit, and things take time to build, but I'm excited about the opportunities and the people, more specifically that I met, to see what's possible and where do we go from here. So yeah, I'm still floating, like you said, Lancelot, to me, I'm still high on this, and just the ideas and the creativity, and again, what's possible is just churning, and I can't wait to see what we put together, and hopefully we can bring everybody along on this, and there's a place for everybody to get involved.
If I could just interrupt for a second and say, you're wrong, Curtis, in that what you spoke about, you could talk about anywhere. You could talk about it at a leadership conference with CEOs, because I thought that was absolutely brilliant to connect leadership with. And I told you that. I came up to you afterwards and said that was absolutely brilliant. I never saw it like that. But the picture that you painted, and being an MC with DJs, I can actually see it. And understanding about reading a room. And I thought it was just so apropos, brilliant. And the way you connected everything together, you could take that speech and use it anywhere. And it would be, people could learn from it. CEOs, anybody. So bravo to you on connecting those two together.
Thank you. And thanks for y'all being the first audience that I was able to rock this with. So hey, I appreciate y'all being there. So thank you.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a guinea pig, Bio.
That wasn't the intention. No.
That is so interesting.
Jacqueline, you were at our event, the last one. I know it was not the same. I know it was different, me personally, because I'm the one that puts things together, right? What was your take on the difference between both? Because they were both exceptional to me. That's how I feel they were. Lancelot can probably tell you his own ideas, but I want to know what your thoughts were, because you saw something truly unique in the last one that you said, I'm going to really sponsor this one. Was it worth your sponsorship dollars?
It's, first of all, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. But what I saw, the first one that I went to was it was really remarkable because again, the energy in the room, the people, the inspiration that came out, and to be able to be part of something where you could, where each one of us was inspiring each other and being able to elevate each other. And this, the title is the New York City Experience Mastermind Ignite. And to ignite is so important. To me, it was, what can we do to ignite something within ourselves and also for the people in the room and the people beyond the room. It's the people beyond the room that matters to me so much more because, one of my biggest desires and things that I feel like I want to do in life and what I love to be able to help people with is be that person who is the amazing leader that helps other people put smiles on other people's faces. Because if each and every one of us can help, make other great leaders, God, then the world will be so much a happier place. Because, you hear so many times about people who are unhappy with whether it's at their job or wherever they are. But if each and every one of us has nuggets to share, to bring and drip on each other, and which drips out to others, we're making a better world. And so the Ignite in Tampa, what was different is there was an overall connection and community that was being built. And there was this underlying theme, not just ignite, but community, relationships. And that extended beyond what was even in the first one that I went to in New York. This one almost was like a little bit on a deeper level. It truly was igniting the people in the room. And each and every one of us brought something different and then also compounded and elevated what other people were doing. People were pivoting because they didn't want to pivot. They didn't want to, repeat what somebody else said. They want to expand upon it. Oh, Andre spoke about identity. So Devo wanted to talk more about the branding piece and how they work together. So each and every one of us built upon each other, and brought different pieces into what we were saying because it was elevating and we really heard what everybody else was saying. And so this was just, igniting, we've ignited something within other people and within ourselves, and that flame's going to keep on burning.
Yes.
Here's what we're doing for the next one. Atlanta is going to be Ascend.
Ooh.
Because we're already ignited. We got created that spark. Now we're ascending. So that's the next theme for the next one. So everybody write it down. Ascend. What is your speech going to be like for that one? And somebody is always, oh man, they took my speech. I wish I would have gone before them. But here's the thing. I'm going to say it this way, right? And you guys know I talked about comfort, right? So comfort does delay your destiny, and the cost of staying out of the room is always greater than the ticket itself. So the room doesn't change you. It's the decisions to enter the room that can change you. It's your decision. And also it's the decision that you make after. What did you do yesterday, Monday morning? My day was packed yesterday, right? Yes, I was flying. And when I was flying, guess what I was doing? I had my Remarkable 2, and there I'm writing and stuff. And so I'm recreating what is going to be happening already in September, because we're ascending to something bigger, something better. And so there's always going to be a theme with our rooms, because we need to expand on what we've already experienced and how do we get to the next level. Because I don't care when you get to the peak, there's always a next level. There's always another mountain to climb. But it's better when you come with people that's going to help you, when you slip, when you fall, or you're going to pull somebody up, whatever it is, we need to work together as a team, if you will. So New York City Mastermind Experience is about that. It's the experience. That's why New York, the last one is different than this one, because it's an experience. Atlanta is going to be a different experience. So it's where we're going, people. We're ascending.
That's right. And the other thing, I think it's just each one gets better and better. And I know for myself, after the one we gave in Farmingdale, then I knew what to expect. And then as a person who's an athlete, and Diva would understand this, you're always trying to get better. So when I came to the one in Florida, my intention was to be better than I was in Farmingdale, and whatever that meant. But the intention was to go in there and absorb everything and do better at communicating and connecting than I did the first time. And when you have that intention, and then everybody in a room has the same intention, it just elevates everything. And it's just beautiful. I just recharged my battery and came away just full because of my intention, but then the intention of everybody else that was in the room. And when everybody has the same, that's why I feel as though it's like a room of Avengers and superheroes. And the biggest intention is to change the world in a positive way, to make the world a better place. And you can feel it. You can feel it. Yes, you can feel it.
I know some people have to get going because it's already past the hour, but we could probably talk forever here. Thank you for those who are with us. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to say thank you, everybody, for being here with us. For those of you who could not make it on this call, that's okay. We have next week. Every Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m. We are here. I'm kidding, right? So you see that?
Oh.
So 8:30 a.m., you're going to watch the replay.
Oh,
at 7, you're going to watch us live.
Right.
So here's the thing. If you know somebody who needs to be in the room with us, share the show with them. Because on the show, we're going to talk about all the different things. And guess what? I'm going to do some early bird pricing. For somebody who wants to get in the room, be the early bird. You know what happens with the early birds? They get the worm. And this is a worm you don't want to let go of once you get it.
And big shout out and thank you to everybody that was online. Sometimes when people are talking, we can't acknowledge you, but we see you, we thank you, and we love you for being a part of it. And for all those that were with us in Tampa, thank you very much. You made my day. You made my weekend. Our weekend, I should say.
Sure did. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
To the Avengers. We got to figure out a name or something. The Avengers. Because we are Avengers. All right, guys.
I think there's a cape in our future.
Yes,
like
absolutely. Absolutely.
Guys, as they walk through the room.
That's right.
God
Guys,
bless you.
take care. Love you guys. Take care.
Super excited. It was such an amazing experience speaking, and I'm so energized and excited.
Everyone brought the energy, the motivation, and the tools to actually implement to accelerate as a business owner.
I'm really happy to hear the New York experience. We just had some of the speakers come up and they were fantastic.
Awesome experience. The quality of people and the quality of the speakers were truly inspirational.
Let me just tell you, the impact in the room, the energy in the room was unbelievable. If you miss this event, there's another event coming up in Tampa. You don't want to miss that event.
It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance.
Sifu Rafael with the New York City Mastermind Experience. I am here with Lancelot and Jose. We're taking it to Tampa.
Real excited to bring our New York City experience to another state. Tampa, watch out, because here we come.
Get your tickets today, folks. We want to see you in Tampa, Florida. Again, NYC Experience in Florida. Get there. Get your tickets now. We'll see you there.
Elevation, that's the sound. NYC